Amanda. Thank you for joining me for a multi-level flow this beautiful morning. We're going to start standing. So place your feet just a couple of inches apart from each other, pointing straight ahead. And rest your hands together over your heart. Relax your shoulders. Close your eyes. Start to notice the feeling of your breath. Notice the connection of your feet to the mat or the floor, the strength of your legs underneath you, and the lift from the base of your spine to the crown of your head. And as you notice the planting of your feet and the length of your spine, maybe take a moment to think about what seeds you want to plant in your practice this morning. So in this very interesting and different time where everything slows down, what seeds do you want to plant? Patience, strength, fortitude, kindness. What would you like to cultivate in yourself? And then let your practice this morning, everything you do, the thoughts that you have, the movements that you make with your body, be dedicated to the growth of that seed. Relax your arms down beside you, and then continuing to stand tall, breathe in and stretch your arms up, and breathe out and lower them down. And do this several times at the speed of your own breath. Continuing to move your arms out and up. Widen your stance a little bit so your feet a little bit wider than hips distance apart. And then the next time that you raise your arms up, hold on to your right wrist with your left hand. And give it a little pull and lean over to your left. And maybe do a little tiny back bend, breathing along the right side of your waist. And let your neck be comfortable. You could look down or forward, or maybe take your ears back and look up. Keeping your feet well planted. Rise up to center and exhale your arms down. Take a moment just to feel the difference between the sides of your body. And then on a breath in, stretch your arms overhead again. This time hold on to your left wrist with your right hand. Give it a little pull and lean to your side. Other way. Adjust the angle of your chin. Let your neck feel long and comfortable. And on and in breath. Root your feet, lift your belly, and come to center. Exhale your arms down, and then walk your feet back underneath your hips, like about a hip bone's distance apart. We'll move into and out of a modified fierce pose. So breathe in and stretch your arms up. Breathe out, sweep your arms down and around, and sit back. Weight in your heels. Breathe in, stretch your arms up. Straighten your legs, breathe out, sit back and down. Your speed. next time you stand up tall, take a little tiny back bend. And exhale your arms down beside your hips again. Now let's take a wider stance. So your feet are just to the outsides of your hips. And then hold hands with yourself behind your back. And just let your hands rest there, right around your sacrum. Now if that's too much on your shoulders, place your hands on your hips. But we want to keep the collarbones nice and broad. Let's take a breath in and lift the chest. Breathe out. Bend your knees as much as you want to as you take a forward bend. Relax the crown of your head down. And if you want to, you could bend your knees a little bit more one at a time and shift your hips from side to side. Or you could find stillness, strong legs, maybe even straightening your knees. And bend your knees, pull your belly button in, and slowly stand all the way up. Walk your feet back in. And then turn to face the short end of your mat. We'll flow down to the ground. So feet about a hip bones distance apart. Line up the back of your head, the back of your shoulders, and the backs of your hips with your heels. We'll breathe in and stretch the arms up. Breathe out and bow forward, bending your knees as much as you want to, touching your fingertips either to the floor or to your legs. And then we'll come into and out of half forward bend. Inhale, look up. Exhale, bow. Inhale, rise, lift your shoulders. Exhale, bow. Each time you come up halfway, it's like you're doing a little back bend. Your legs do not have to straighten all the way. One more time, halfway up, and then on an out breath, step back to your hands and knees. Spread your fingers out a comfortable distance apart. Your hands are about shoulders width apart. Knees about hips distance apart, right underneath your hips. And let's start to arch and round the back. Inhaling as you look up. Exhaling as you round forward. Let's look up one more time here. And then on your exhale, sit back towards your heels and take a child's pose. Let your elbows rest on the ground. You could put your forehead on the ground or fold your arms underneath and rest your head on them. And then lift your head, return to all fours, and tuck your toes under. You could maybe make your knees come back a little bit behind your hips. And we'll take a breath in, and then on the exhale, lift your knees up into downward facing dog. So as you come into down dog, your knees could be very bent, or they could be straight. Your heels could be way up high, or if the backs of your legs are nice and open, you could plant your heels. But the most important thing is a nice long lower back. So you don't want to round through your lower back. So if that means you need to bend your knees. So lift your hips up. Support your back by pulling your belly in. And then as you breathe here, imagine you're breathing in across your chest. And as you breathe out, you're pulling in behind your belly button. go ahead and lower your knees to the ground. So we'll make that into a little flow. So as you breathe in, look up. As you breathe out, come back into child's pose. Breathe in and rise back up to your hands and knees, tuck your toes. Breathe out, lift your hips, take downward facing dog. Breathe in, lower your knees and look up. Breathe out, sit back at your heels. Inhale up. Exhale to down dog. Inhale, lower your knees, arch your back. Exhale, sit back into child's pose. Do this a few more times, and you don't have to breathe in that exact way, just as long as you are breathing. And the next time that you come into downward facing dog, please stay there. Take a big breath wide across your shoulders. And then as you breathe out, walk your feet up toward your hands and return to a standing forward bend. Uttanasana. And to come up, we'll breathe in and come up just halfway. Take your hands to your shins, lift your shoulders. Breathe out, put your hands on your hips. And breathe in, stand all the way up. Find your mountain pose. Notice your breath. Allow your body to be still and welcome that stillness. Come back down into a forward fold. So breathe in, stretch your arms up, and breathe out, bow forward, touch your legs or the floor. Breathe in, come up halfway. Breathing out, this time step your right foot back, as far back as it will go on your mat, and then lower your right knee to the ground. Put your hands on your front thigh, lift your chest, relax your shoulders. Now, if this bothers your back knee, you can tuck a blanket underneath your back knee. You also could tuck your toes under, and that helps to activate the muscles around the knee joint and protect it a little bit. And coming back to your breath. How are you approaching this lunge? Is it in a way that supports that seed you wanted to plant? And place the hands on the floor on either side of that front foot. Lift the back knee. Now you also have the option of leaving that back knee down. We'll come into a twisting lunge. So keep your right hand on the floor. Could even turn your hand out a little bit. Put your left hand on your left thigh and then twist towards your front leg. So I'm going to twist away from you. Then do a little back bend. Out of reach of your arm. And then on an out breath, lower that hand. Come out of the twist. And spin your back heel down to the floor. So your right foot is turned out and a little bit at a diagonal toward the front end of your mat. Left knee bent to about 90 degrees if possible. Walk your hands out to the side at a diagonal. So you're inside your front foot. And pushing your both feet down into the floor, walk your hands away from you. And I want you to imagine you're doing downward facing dog with your upper body as you do a lunge with your lower body. Try to guide your left knee out to the left. And then walk your hands back in. Lift your back heel. And then step back to either all fours or downward facing dog. Three breaths here. Long arms, strong legs. Lower your knees to the ground. We'll come down through a modified plank. So take your knees back behind your hips. Pull your belly up, looking forward, bend your elbows and lower your chest down between your thumbs. Untuck your toes. And then take your hands out wide, like even off of your mat wide, and come up onto your fingertips just to make some more space. As you breathe in, push your hips down, lift your chest up. It doesn't have to be very high. Shoulder blades wrap around your back. Keep breathing. Modified cobra. Stretching back through your inner legs. And then lower your forehead to the floor. Bring your hands to the ground, right beside your chest. Lift your shoulders, lift your belly button. Press up to your knees. You could also press up to a plank. And then back to downward facing dog. Three breaths. And try to slow them down, lengthen them out. And take another breath in. This time, as you breathe out, walk your feet up towards your hands. Come into a standing forward bend again. Hips right over your heels, knees could be bent. We'll come up the same way as last time. So breathe in, come up halfway, hands to your shins. Breathe out, hands to your hips. Breathe in, stand all the way up. Find your mountain pose. Feel your breath. And then we will repeat that on the same, or the second side, if I can remember it. So breathe in, stretch your arms up. Breathe out, bow forward, touch your legs or the floor. Breathe in, halfway up. Good. Breathe out, exhale, step your left foot back. Lower your left knee to the ground. Again, your knee could be on a blanket back there. Your toes could be tucked or untucked, whatever feels better for you. Put your hands on your front thigh, lift up into a low lunge. Shoulders relax down. Belly lifted. And if it's just too much on that back knee, even with a blanket, you can keep your hands on the ground. Now from this lunge, we'll take it into a twist. So back knee could be down behind your hips, or you could lift it. Left hand stays on the ground. Right hand comes to your front thigh as you turn towards your front knee. And do a little back bend. Extend your top arm up, unshrug your shoulders. Looking down if that feels better. And then unwind, lower your top hand to the ground. And we'll come into that warrior dog, or that down dog lunge that we did on the first side. So spin your back heel down, Turning your left toes out at a diagonal, your front knee is bent, as close to 90 degrees as possible. Take your hands to the inside of your front foot and then walk them out at a diagonal, straightening your arms, lower your head, lower your chest. And pull your right knee out to the right. Lifting your head, walk your hands back in, lift your back heel, step back either to your hands and knees or to downward facing dog. Breathing. Now lower your knees to the floor. So you have the option of coming down through that modified plank and modified chaturanga, or if you'd like, at this time, lift your knees up. Feel your strong legs. Weight out into your fingertips, chest forward. Bend your elbows and lower your chest down between your thumbs. Keep your shoulders lifted. Untuck your toes, and keeping your hands where they are, curl up into a little baby cobra, a little baby back bend. Tops of the feet down, knees down, hips down. Take your hands and reach them back beside your hips. Or if you want a bigger stretch, hold hands with yourself behind your back. Stretch your knuckles toward your heels. And pull your lower belly forward. And then we'll take another breath and rest in crocodile pose. So take your arms down in front of you, hands stacked on each other, and separate your feet out about as wide as your mat. Let your heels drop out. Rest your forehead on your hands and feel your breath in your back. Lift your head up, bring your feet about a hip's distance apart again, and we'll do a thigh stretch. Left arm will stay across the front end of the mat. Bend your right knee. Reach back for your right foot with your right hand. Now, if your foot feels very far away, you could take a belt or a scarf or something and wrap it around the top of that foot and just hold on to it. And turn your chest back to the ground. You could also put your head back down on your arm. And this stretch should feel really good after those lunges that we did. And release that foot and change sides. So right forearm comes across the top of your mat. Bend your left knee. Reach back for your left foot with your left hand and draw the heel towards your outer hip, left outer hip. Head could be up or down. I like my head down here. into that breathe. Release that foot to the ground. Place your hands on the mat beside your chest. Lift your shoulders, lift your belly button. Push up either to your hands and knees or to plank. Back to downward facing dog for 3 breaths. And then lower your knees to the ground. Okay. So this next little flow can be done either from the knees or from downward facing dog. I'll start off on the knees. So we're going to lift the right knee up, pull the belly up, shoulders unshrugged. As you exhale, pull your knee to your nose, round your back. Inhale and expand, extend. Exhale and contract. Inhale and exhale. And I'll do it a couple more times, this time from downward facing dog. And then the next time that you pull your knee in, keep your belly really strong and lower that right knee to the floor behind your right wrist. We'll come into a humble pigeon pose. So stretch your left leg out behind you. Press your knees down into the floor and turn your hips to the right a little bit. Come down onto your elbows. You can stay up on your elbows or put your head all the way down on your mat. To come up, lift your head, pull your knees in toward each other and your belly button up towards your spine. Put your hands on the mat. And from here, we'll come into a seated twist. So come down onto your right hip and swing your back leg around in front. A couple of options that you have could be to sit up on a folded blanket. So we want both hips, both sit bones to be on the ground evenly. Your left foot could be in front of your right shin. Or for a deeper twist, you could cross your left foot to the outside of your right thigh. But again, either way, both hips down evenly because you don't want your sacrum to be tilted as you twist. Take a moment to just sit up tall. Relax your shoulders. And then we'll take a twist to the left. So put your left hand behind you and turn from the base of your rib cage to your left. Your head can come with you, or you could keep turning your head over your right shoulder. In the twist, think about doing a little back bend, open your chest. unwind. And then just for fun, we're going to turn ourselves around. So put your hands on the floor outside your right hip. And then keep your feet about where they are. And turn yourself around so you're in downward facing dog. Yay! Facing the other side of your mat. And then we'll do those leg lifts, again, either from downward dog or from your hands and knees. So as you breathe in, lift your left leg. As you breathe out, squeeze knee to nose. Breathe in, extend. Breathe out, contract. Again, from your knees is great. And then the next time you pull your left knee in, hold the contraction. And then release your left knee to the ground outside your left wrist. Extend your right leg way back behind you. Come into a humble pigeon. So push your shins down, your knees down, and steer your hips to the left a little. Come onto your elbows. I forgot to say this on the first side, but if this deep bend in your front knee, this deep flexion doesn't work for you, you could flip over onto your back, cross your ankle over your knee, and get a similar stretch. And I'm going to come back up into that humble pigeon. Lift your head, come onto your hands. We'll swing that back leg around on this side. So come onto your left hip, swing your right foot around. And again, maybe sitting up on a folded blanket will really help to keep some length in that lower back. Your foot could be planted in front of your left shin, or your right foot could cross over to the outside. Now, just because you did it one way on one side doesn't mean you have to do it that way on the second side. So for me, on this side, I want to keep my foot in front. Sit tall. Balance the weight from hip to hip. And then once again, I'm going to twist away from you. So right hand comes to the floor behind you. Twist from the base of your rib cage. And in the twist, lift your chest, relax your shoulders. To unwind, and then again, just to make things even and just for fun, put your hands on the floor outside your left hip and turn yourself around. Maybe walk out that dog a little bit, bend and unbend your knees. And when you feel ready, bring your knees to the floor. And take your legs out in front of you. Knees bent, feet flat. We're going to do some boat poses, and I'll give you lots of modifications. So boat pose, you could have your hands on the ground. You could even have your toes on the ground. And you're just using your deep low belly muscles, lifting up through the center of your chest. You could take your arms out in front of you, palms up as your shoulders relax. You could lift your shins parallel to the floor, keeping your knees bent. Lots of strength right here at your middle. Or you might try straightening your legs. Keep your shoulders relaxed. Remember that seed you're planting in your practice. Wherever you are, whatever version of this boat pose you're practicing, can help to grow that seed. When you're ready to, lower your feet to the floor if they were lifted, and then give yourself a hug. Lift your head, and then we're going to come down to lie on the back. So you can put your hands on the floor and use your arms to help you down, or stretch your arms out in front of you. Squeeze your legs together. Pull your belly in, and then take your time lowering down to the mat. Chin tucked. And then once you're there, take a full body stretch. Arms overhead, legs straight. Lower your arms down and rest them over your belly, just very gently, like you're giving your belly a hug. Bend your knees. Take the soles of your feet together, let your knees drop open. Now, if this is very uncomfortable for you, there's a few things you can do. You can take your feet further away from you. And let your lower back arch and your inner thighs roll down. You could also take a blanket or a block or something and tuck it underneath your outer thighs to give a little bit of support so that your muscles know it's okay to relax. Each time you breathe in, feel your belly rise up. Each time you breathe out, let the belly fall down toward your spine. Whenever you feel ready, close your knees, stretch your legs out in front of you. Bring your arms down beside you with your palms up. Resting in Shavasana. If lying flat with your legs straight is uncomfortable for your back, you could bend your knees, separate your feet, and let your knees tent in on each other. And just notice whatever there is to notice. The feeling of your breath, the air against your skin. If you're outside like me, the sun against your skin. If you're inside or it's not sunny, just imagine the sun is shining down on you. And when we're in stillness like this, it doesn't seem like there's a lot going on. It's kind of like in the winter when plants go dormant, and it doesn't seem like they are doing much either. There's all kinds of development and preparation going on beneath the surface. And feel free to rest in Shavasana as long as you'd like. But when you feel ready to come out, bend your knees, or roll over to your side. Either side is fine. Rest in a sideline child's pose for a few breaths, no hurry. And let your legs and hips feel heavy as you use the strength of your arms to push yourself up. Take a seat that is comfortable for you. Rest your hands together over the center of your chest. And thank you. Be well. God bless. Namaste.